that many youth ask, where do I start? Where do I start as a youth? Confusion exists amongst most youth. So it is not a question of they don't want to help you achieve it. It is a question of they do not know where to start. And which is why I would painstakingly do this today, because if you have to unleash somebody's potential, the person needs to be what? Self-aware that they even have that potential in the first place. Good. Now, if the person has to be self-aware, the person is already asking questions such as, where do I start? I asked that question maybe like 10 years ago of myself, and which is why I will tell you a short story, and Nasfat is involved in this story. You know, before, like 10 years ago, 10 years ago, I used to go to Nasfat Alausa, the headquarters then. And what would happen is, why I started going to Nasfat Alausa, none of my family members used to attend anyway, but I was always concerned about, I wanted the right kind of education in all aspects of my life. And I also wanted the education that came from correct people that came correct. So when you go to Nasfat Alausa, the headquarters, you see a lot of correct people. You know, they have the knowledge of Islam and they have the other knowledge. So it is a question of us bringing it together to now have an holistic life. So I would sit down there and I would sit down, I'll be watching like, oh my God, one day I want to be this person that they are calling to come and speak. I want to be this person that is speaking about education. I want to be the poster girl for an Islamic person, an Islamic woman, so that people can understand that Islam supports education. I used to think of, and I would sit and I would just watch after the service. I would listen to the knowledge. I will go home. And this was where it started. Why did I tell you that story? It started in my mind. It started in my mind. So I used to dream it, and this is 10 years later. I'm on that same platform, and my dream is a reality. And it actually feels very surreal, but the thing is, it is actually happening. I dreamt it. If you can dream it, you can do it. So that is the first point I want you to note. When you are asking yourself, where do I start? The first thing you should write right now is, it is in my mind. Your mindset is where you start. And I'm sure that is sounding very vague. Okay, they start to start from my mindset. Like, what is wrong with my mindset in the first place? Here is it. I will say this to you. If you've been thinking it, now listen to me, every youth, I'm still a youth. I look at this and I say, this is me. If I'm starting with me, it is starting with you right now. So I'll be taking you through a blueprint of what you need to be doing right now and post-COVID. Like I mentioned, a lot of things were already wrong, especially in our educational sector. But then COVID aggravated it and started to bring to fore what was wrong. So I will be using this diagram by the United Nations, UNICEF, and the World Bank. And I will be explaining it in my own terms. And why am I doing that? The mention that I was a life coach. I would say a life coach can only be teaching from the life experiences of what they've done right and what they've done wrong. And it took me a long time to get this place where I had this much clarity about where I was supposed to have started. But I just used to dream and I started to navigate it, make mistakes, and finally I got it right. And when I got it right, like I accelerated in a very short time. So that long process of you answering that question of where do I start, I want to save you several years as a youth. So that when I save you that several years, I'm going to crash it into like 15 minutes. You know where to start, you execute, and you can move on to get accelerated. Is someone with me here? Just drop in the comment section. I'm with you. I know. Get your pen and paper. I'm teaching you to execute. I'm not lecturing you here today. Now, this diagram has 4 major sections. One is learning to be together, learning to know, and learning to do. Now, many youth, I see them jumping to the first section, which is learning to do, and they start to clamor. Oh, employability. I said, oh, you want to jump 3 major sections and go to section 4. Look, it is almost impossible. Okay? It is almost impossible. So if you are saying, where do I start? You see that green section? You ever have personal empowerment? It starts with you, which is learning to be you. And you feel like, I am already me. Hello? If I ask you, who are you right now? Half of the people that are here will tell me their name. I'm Adering Solaju Adepoju. That is not who you are. It is, do you understand yourself? If you don't understand yourself, you can't help the world. If you don't understand yourself, you can't get what you want because you do not even know what you want, right? So here's what you are going to do right now. Learning to be has three major things in it. Not learning to be section, which is personal empowerment, as communication, resilience, and self-management. And that is what I'm going to be discussing. The remaining three sectors, I will just give you a brief on how to go about it. If you look at this one, even in that section, I have arranged it. In your personal empowerment, self-management is the first thing you need to be doing. Self-management. How do you manage yourself? Right. You are wondering, how do I manage myself? It starts with you knowing who you are. And how do you know who you are? You have to know the kind of personality type that you have. I cannot unleash what you don't know you have. If you don't know you have it, how do I unleash it? It's impossible for me. So you first need to start by knowing your personality type. And you'll be saying, okay, how do I know what my personality is? Or what is this even about? Personality is like, let me say, a series of things that makes up the human being. Your behaviors, the patterns, your feelings, everything that makes you up is your personality. And I want you to highlight this. It remains consistent fairly throughout your lifetime. So if you have to live with yourself, people in the society have to live with you, and you do not even know yourself, you see where we have a lot of problems. It is fairly consistent throughout your lifetime. So if you've not identified your you will be confused for a very long time. And you will not start wondering, okay, but this personality, I know, okay, I don't like this. Maybe I don't like bread. I don't like to talk. I don't like to be with people. It boils down to the different personality types. And good enough, there are some people that have been able to establish a particular kind of model to help you breeze through that process in about 10 minutes. You might have heard people say, oh, I'm personality type ESTP. Anybody here has heard that? ESTP, they will just mention some alphabet, 4 alphabets. They will say, oh, I am this, I am that. Look, it is because they've taken a personality test. And you know why they don't want to take that test? I'll take you there. I did not take that test till maybe 2019. I think. I didn't take that test in 2019. But I understood that I had a lot of things that I liked and I did not like. I tried to work on them maybe in 2016. But this one gave me a clear direction on what I should be working on. And this is the meaning of this lesson. My first assignment to you today is this. This is what I have told you, right? Extroversion, introversion. You can read up on it. Just put personality type on Google and things like this will come out. I can't explain it at the time. So now you will now say, if I now take this personality test, how does it relate to me knowing myself? This is where I'm going to spend the next 5 minutes. Good. It enables you to know your likes, your dislikes, your strengths, your weaknesses. I highlighted that in red. Your weaknesses, your possible career choices, which is what every youth is chasing. Okay, my career, I need that job. And you want to jump like 3 things to get there. It also makes you know your compatibility with others, which is the highest grade, which is living together, impacting people. It is after you've satisfied yourself in an answer, impacting people. Right. You see the weaknesses. It is what I want you to look at. I always say Allah created all of us in such a way that He gave us strength. He gave us weaknesses. Right. And in those strengths and weaknesses, you will be looking at people like man, you'll be saying, oh my God, he didn't give any weakness to him. He's such an orator, he communicates well, he's a fantastic leader, he's a good father, you will name all his attributes. Do you think he never had weaknesses? What distinguishes an ordinary person from a great person is their weaknesses. The fact that when you take a personality test, you identify your weaknesses, and what do you do with that? You work on it. So if I add 50% strength and 50% weakness, I will start to convert each of my weaknesses, start to manage it. Remember that section said what? Self-management. People's weaknesses drag them down. It is your weakness. Everybody has, like I'm saying, strength. You are on a very plain level. It is your weaknesses that will distinguish if you will be great or not. So if you've not identified it, you cannot work on it. So, for instance, I'll give you one of my own. My sister used to say, because I like to talk very fast and on, and my thought process, I will write the way I talk, right? So it means when I'm writing, I'm bound to make mistakes because I'm trying to write as fast as I'm thinking. Good. What happens? It means I will make mistakes. That is a weakness for me. And because I'm very intuitive, I will probably want to post it and somebody is reading me writing bad English. Not because I would not ordinarily understand that this is bad English, but it is a weakness for me because my thought process, my personality is an intuitive one. And I just want to do it fast. If I did not build on it, imagine I come here, you see bad English, no matter the knowledge I have in my head, it already degrades me as a person. So you'd be like, oh, like, really? You won't come into my head to know that I understand how to speak English. So I have worked on that weakness. How? You will see me on my system. I have Grammarly installed. It's an application that helps you to check your English. On my phone keyboard, it is a Grammarly. I have identified that this is what I am weak at. So I need to put in processes, automations in such a way that weakness doesn't show. So when you look at it, you're like, oh, she's a good babe, she's a good writer. It's a lie. I have put in processes to check my weakness. Another thing I have done in recent passes, I used to be an extremely fast talker. So what gets to happen is this. I'm trying to pass on the message to you, but you cannot hear me. Guess what I did? I identified that as a weakness, and I went to YouTube to learn what you call voice modulation. So I put sticker notes on my laptop to say, Jerry, take a pause here. And you'll be looking at me and be saying, oh, she's an orator. She speaks well. She is delivering well. I have a weakness, and I am converting it to strength. So when you look at me, you'll be saying she has all this going on for her. Hello? I have converted my weaknesses to strength. So that is where your joker, that is where people get it wrong. If you do not know your personality type, please go and do it. One of my weaknesses that converted to strength for me is global applications. I used to apply for global opportunities to go and do things in the SDGs. But you know what my weakness was? Writing, right? Very fast. And I do not like criticism according to my personality type. So it means when I finish writing bad English and my personality does not like criticism, when I give someone to read it for me, I will be like, I have done all that work. You are now saying this. That is my personality type. You cannot help your personality type. You cannot help the way you feel, but you can help the outcome of that thing. It means I have identified that I hate criticism. So now when I give my application to my husband, please proofread for me for English or proofread for something. It means that when he comes back and says, Jerry, this is not right, I understand myself already that I am going to feel a certain way. So when I'm feeling that certain way, I say, Jerry, your personality does not like criticism. So you need to work on this thing because that criticism was a constructive one and you need this global application. And guess what happened when I identified that? The moment I started working on what the things, or all the things they say, adjust this, adjust the English, adjust the science, it's too scientific. I started securing global applications that's taking me around 5 continents. So when you look at me, oh, she's a global citizen. Guess what? I needed to work on the weakness to get me there. So greatness is attached to your weakness. And that is what self-management is called. But prior to self-management is what? Self-awareness. And to be aware, you need to know who you are by taking a personality test that helps you to say, this is who I am. Now, that is learning to be, which is what? Personal empowerment. Like I said, there are a lot of things I could speak on in that space for 3 hours, but now I just gave you like an overview of that. Now, the learning to do, which is employability, we are still not there. Now you need to learn to know. But in learning to know, the problem COVID brought upon us is many youth now have time on their hands. And because they are hearing skill, acquire this skill, acquire this knowledge, we have information overload, jumping from one webinar to the other. And guess what happens? You fry your brain and you dump it in the bin. So you acquire the knowledge and you are not better off than someone that never attended because you have information overload. You know why you have information overload? You didn't do the first thing I have to do here. You've not identified yourself. You do not know what interests you. You do not know what you are interested in. So you are getting all the knowledge you want. The question is, if I know me, that I do not like my writing is this, what knowledge do you think I will acquire? Or maybe I'm talking fast. I went to learn voice modulation. I did not go and learn coding. Coding cannot save the world. Like, I mean, we cannot code our way. We cannot code our way to this thing. If what you need is voice modulation, if you don't learn it, you cannot be great. If what you need is writing, you don't learn it, you cannot be great. So, self is the way where you start. So, in you learning to know, what do you now do? You now say, what am I supposed to be learning as a youth? What am I supposed to be learning? You now be hearing things like problem-solving skills, critical solving. The question now again is, my problem-solving skills, I don't have a job. What do I apply it to? That is where the good news is. Okay? That good news of I don't have a job. How do I do critical thinking, problem-solving, and all that? You will now be saying, I need to get a job, which is I need to learn to do employability, and I will now get all those things on it. Well, I always say be very, very, very resolute about your destination, but be flexible about your vehicle. There are 4 steps in that circle. If you learn about yourself, you want to learn to know what. You now say, let me get a job. If you are not getting a job, there's another way out, which is the very last one. This, the active citizenship. Active what? Citizenship. And this active citizenship is where the SDGs come in. What can you do for us in the SDGs? If you know when you are identifying yourself, I like health. 1 minute more, okay? I like health. There is a goal. There is a global problem that is addressing that health. If you know I like education, there is a goal that is addressing that. So your active citizenship is related to that particular SDG. And that is what you will now be learning about. You pick that SDG and you start to apply your problem solving, critical thinking, everything to solve that SDG. And if you are saying, oh, what is in it for me? Yeah, they start to actively participate. This is what is in it for you on your screen. 5 continents in 2 years. That is where SDGs got me to. I did not say countries. Continents in 2 years. That is what is in it for you. And the other thing that is in it for the world is the impact you are going to make in your community and globally. Don't be a local champion and say, I want to get a job by force. You can scale that place. You can do it. So get on that SDG today and start working on it. If you're ready to unleash your potential, please start to execute every single thing I said to you today. Thank you very much for having me in this talk.
Wow. Thank you very much, Aderisola. We really appreciate you for sharing your time with us. We wish you continue. It's a pity. Wow. If you can dream it, you can do it. And I hope when next we call upon you, you definitely have enough reasons to come and make these presentations once more. Thank you very much. You've been able to take us through a journey of knowing who you are really. Thank you very much for sharing your time with us. Right now, we are moving on to the goodwill message from Alhaji Remi Babalola. Alhaji Remi Babalola is the BOT Secretary Board of Trustees. Nasfat is the CEO of Portfolio Advisors Limited. Alhaji Remi Babalola, we appreciate you for being with us, for staying with us. We are ready to message, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
It's my pleasure and delight to be with you today at this first summit in SDG. Let me congratulate the youth for this novel initiative. And I must say that it is good that we are coming up with this, identifying with the global world village, identifying with what the nation also believes in, and ensuring that we have a voice, we have a stake in it. Well, I used to say that Nasfat youth, in some of my write-ups, that they are the Nasfat generation next. But what I'm seeing, with what I'm hearing, with all some of this your novel initiative, I think I have to change my ways, because if the world, if the elders are doing everything possible to ensure that we prepare a future good for the next generation. But what we are seeing now is that the next generation are the one taking charge, preparing the future for themselves. So that's why I say I'm proud of you, and I feel very fulfilled to identify with you. It then means that you are no longer Nasfat generation next. In actual fact, you are Nasfat generation now. So I must, and I see that you can take the mantle of leadership. You are already taking the leadership position. And in actual fact, in reality, when we look at the trajectory of Nigeria, those people that make what we are today actually are the youth of your age group. The like of Awolowo, Sardauna, Nnamdi Azikiwe, they were within the age of 20s and the 30s and the 40s then. Even the military men, when they took over, were in your age. They were actually youth. When we talk of 27, 28, 30 of them, the Gowans, the military and everything. And they make impact. And we still remember them for what they have done in each of the region. In actual fact, that is what we have. That's the only legacy we see that we have in the Nigerian today. So what that means, it is the youth that made it. Nasfat. In actual fact, the first generation of Nasfat were actually the youth. Because when we moved 25 years of my age, that means I was about 29 then, when we started Nasfat, and the ages then was about 43, 45 then. In other words, what am I saying? It is the youth that started Nasfat. And now you are showing that you are ready for leadership. So I wish you a fruitful summit, and I look forward to seeing the outcome of this summit and seeing how you become a game changer.
Thank you, sir.
And be involved in the message of the SDG going forward. Thank you for having me. I wish you a very fruitful summit. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, sir. Wale, really appreciate this. Join us on all our social media handles. Facebook at Nasfat Worldwide, Instagram at Nasfat HQTRS, at Nasfat Youth, and YouTube at Nasfat TV. And it is interesting to know that this event is covered by NCA, CVC, Bond FM, Daily Trust Newspaper, Guardian Newspaper, Daily Post, and NoIslam.org. Thank you very much for being around. Right now, we are moving on to the the first panelist session of today's summit. And I have the honor to call on Mr. Olashukbo Abidin, who is going to moderate the next session, a panelist session on examining and localizing the Sustainable Development Goals. Mr. Olashukbo Abidin.
All right, thank you very much. I sincerely appreciate you for staying behind to really attend this awesome event. Without wasting most of our time, I will go straight to the panel session with the theme, examining and localizing the Sustainable Development Goals. Inception, opportunities, experiences, and future challenges. We have two awesome panelists here this morning, and I feel privileged to be moderating this session. The first person on my list is Mr. Rashid Ademola Adebi. I will give you of all panelists and participants to please read his brief profile. If I should read the profile of my two panelists this morning, sincerely, we may not need them, but I'll just give you a snippet. Rashid Ademola Adebi is a strategic communication teacher, researcher, journalist, and youth development advocate. He holds BA and MA degrees from the University of Ibadan, Nigeria. He is a fellow of IFE, Institute of Advanced Studies. He has published articles in journals both within and outside Nigeria. He is a member of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, International Association of Media and Communication Research, and African Council for Communication Education. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Rashid Ademola Adebi. Mr. Rashid Ademola Adebi, can you say hi to our audience, please?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's my pleasure to be here.
The second person is also a young advocate of the SDG. He's no other person than my own very good brother, Mr. Ahmed Kayode Alabi. Sincerely, if I'm to read his own profile as well, we may not live here. Heavy and thick and impressive and inspiring. I'll just give you a snippet of it. Ahmed is a social entrepreneur, author, SDGs, youth champion, and educator with 12 years of experience in active citizenship and volunteering. He's currently studying MSc Africa and International Development at the prestigious University of Edinburgh through the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship. That's big. He served as a fellow in residence and regional manager at Eastbox, a global non-profit in the United States. Amit led his core program in more than 30 countries in sub-Saharan Africa and supported youth-led movements in Nigeria, Kenya, Zambia, Malawi, Uganda, Ghana, Zimbabwe, Madagascar, and others. He was part of the 400 young leaders who converged at Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Center for the first African SDG Summit in Accra. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Mr. Amit. Mr. Amit, can you say hi to our participants?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And please don't mind my profile. I'm just a young person wanting to make a difference. And I'm really looking forward to this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me start with Mr. Amit right away. Mr. Amit, please, can you comment on the position of Nigeria as regards the attainment of the SDGs? How realistic is it for us to meet up by 2030? Can you differentiate briefly on what we are doing right and what we are doing wrong? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. And These like I've heard from other people talking about the Sustainable Development Goals, and how can Nigeria, how have Nigerian gone around the SDGs? So when the SDGs was established in 2015, that was September 25, 193 states, they came together to establish SDGs in order to reduce poverty and also inequalities in our, in our various countries and nations. So every 2 years, the United Nations does what we call the Voluntary National Review. And so Nigeria was one of the countries that submitted the Voluntary National Review. At that point, Nigeria mentioned that they've done some certain things in implementing the SDGs. And one of the things is the Economic Recovery Growth Plan, if you're aware of the EGRP. That is, Nigeria was able to align the SDGs to their programs. For instance, the Empower program, the Empower Education program, and all of those programs, empowering like over 500 young people or 500 youth. So Nigeria was able to like make a bit of progress. And also recently, in 2020, Nigeria also submitted the second Voluntary National Review. So if you don't know about the Voluntary National Review, just go on Google and type the Voluntary National Review, Nigeria. So you're able to see what Nigeria has done relating to the SDGs and how far that they've been able to like implement and drive the Sustainable Development Goals. So yeah, in 2020, Nigeria had made a remarkable progress. I mean, this year we are polio free in Nigeria, and thanks to like international collaboration with the Bees and Melinda Gates Foundation. And I mean, we also had like a sort of like reduction in mortality rates, infant mortality rates, like it has reduced a bit. These are some of the progress Nigeria has made, access to clean water and so many other progress. I mean, there's also like increase in literacy skills in the south western parts of the country, while I think there's still more work to be done in the northern parts, because 17% can only read and write, so 17% out of like 17% out of 100%, that's a huge gap, right? So we need to like, still ensure that children can read and write, not just read and write, they can read and write and understand. So World Bank released an article recently, and the article mentioned, they asked some young people that to interpret the boy is a puppy, the dog is a puppy, and they can't interpret the dog is a puppy. That means it's just rote reading, ability to read. We can spell, we can read, but we don't know the meaning. We can't interpret the meaning. So many children go to school today, but they do not learn, right? So these are some of the challenges that is affecting the educational sector. And when we look at it, 10.5 million kids are currently out of school. It's a statistic that has been happening for the past 5-10 years. I've been hearing 10.5 million kids are currently out of school. And up to today, we still have so many young people who are currently out of school. Even COVID-19 wasn't the case, right? And, in a way, it exposes some of the injustice happening in the country, the number of young people who are currently unemployed and, who have been affected. And, so these are like some of like the challenges. So I've been able to mention the wins, right? And now I'm talking about the challenges, right? So now the challenges are very numerous. I mean, one of the things is young people are not even involved in political decisions. So when you look at even the political positions, we have just 1% of young people in the political space. But for us to create change, we need to include young people in the political space. Even if you want to drive sustainable development or want to create change, you need to give young people who have the ideas. So young people have the ideas, they are innovative, they can mobilize, they can create real change, right? So most times when I want to create change, they tell me I'm a young person. And I said that really, am I like I can't create this change. I don't have to prove to anybody anymore that I can create change, because what I have done, right, can speak for me. So young people don't need to prove anything anymore to anybody. So there's a need to like include young people who have already created existing initiative, right? So we have young people during this period, we're able to create technology that allows children.
Thank you very much.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. I know if I give you the opportunity, you continue to inspire our audience. And a snippet of what you have said is that our team is activity, and I'm impressed that you are using fact, data, and statistics to really back up your point. Next up, Mr. Rashid Adebiyi. If you look at the team very well, the last goal of the SDG has to do with leaving no one behind. So my question to you is integration and localization of SDG in Nigeria from her own perspective, is not moving at fast pace. You could add what your colleague, Mr. Kayode Alabi, said. What do you consider as a major challenge, and what would you recommend, especially around integration and localization? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to suggest that instead of integration, now we're talking about implementation and localization. And when we take a look at the introduction of the SDGs in the last 5 years, we will discover that there is little progress in terms of implementing the SDGs. And there is no single challenge. There are challenges. The first thing we have to take note is that there is existing friction between what we expect the leadership, political leadership, to do and what is happening. So we have an issue of the existing friction in the governance system, where we are spending so much and getting so little back in terms of dividends of democracy in Nigeria. And as a result, we have been unable to meet standards across all the 17 goals. So I think the first major issue we have there is the friction in the governance system. Also, as one of the challenges is synthesizing the goals into a national strategy. There is no national strategy for the implementation of the SDGs. Okay, for instance, when we listen to our politicians' campaign, how many of them actually draw their campaign promises from the SDGs? So I think as a country, we need a national strategy, something in the mode of the national economic empowerment development strategy that we had sometimes back during the course of this Fourth Republic, which actually dovetail from the top down to the bottom. And as you could see, we also have local, as we had national, we have states, we also have local. So for us to be able to do well in implementing the SDGs and localizing them within our system, it's important for us to understand that we need a national strategy. Yes, I understand that we have an office of an SSA to the government, to the president on an SDGs, but that is not enough. And when we look at what the data are saying, we'll understand that we need a national strategy for the implementation of the goals, so that we see a lot of them coming into campaign promises and manifestos, and seeing a quality follow-up to this. And of course, there is lack of awareness among even the populace to even demand for these goals. For example, last year, as part of the course I take, as part of the courses I take in the university here, I handle development communication for my department. And we started to take a comprehensive look at the SDGs and then move out to get data on the awareness of people about the SDGs. And funny enough, you see that people are not even aware at all. So it's important for us to actually take note of that. I also want to emphasize that for us to be able to implement SDGs, there is a need for us to introduce the SDGs into our curriculum. Yes, we have 15 years to do the implementation. And when we look at the number of graduates we have produced within that period of time, it's huge. And if you have to leverage on the power of the youth, it's important for us as a nation to begin to look at how we are going to domesticate and integrate some of these goals into the curriculum across our tertiary institutions. As a matter of fact, I'm suggesting that universities should introduce sustainable development goals as part of their general courses, so that the youth could be well inculcated into the
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that detailed analysis. Thank you very much for that. I'm still coming back to some of your issues you raised. So, Mr. Ahmed Kayode, you discovered that we migrated from the Millennium Development Goals to the Sustainable Development Goals. There has been call from different stakeholders in Nigeria on the achievement of the SDGs. So, I'm putting this to you, Mr. Ahmed Kayode. Do you ascribe to the observation that Nigeria should prioritize some of the goals and work towards achieving them instead of working on all the EBS? Why? If no, why?
Thank you very much for that wonderful question. I think Nigeria has already ascribed themselves to already like prioritizing some of the goals, because when you check the voluntary national review, Nigeria mentioned that there are some certain goals that they're already working on. And this is based on context, and what is happening in different countries. So when you're thinking about the SDGs, you need to think about context and data as well. So when we look at context, it means that what are the issues happening in the country? What are people going through? So for instance, the level of poverty in Nigeria is different from the level of poverty in the United States or in the United Kingdom, right? So the United Kingdom will not be tackling poverty, right? Likewise, the United States of America. But in Nigeria, the level of poverty is very high. So definitely we need to create solutions around poverty, right? So these are like Nigeria have actually, prioritized some of these goals. And it is very, very important that we don't solve all of the problem, but we can pick one issue that affects all other issues. For instance, quality education. Education is like one of the major and integral goals. For instance, if you look at quality education, we need to look at a target of quality education, which is 4.7, global citizenship and education for sustainable development. In a way, this target drives almost all of the SDGs. That is environmental education, peace and justice and strong institution, bring about economic growth, right? So it's very important that we are able to look at some of the key goals that connect with all other goals, because the SDGs are interconnected goals. They are connected to each other, right? So for instance, in the case of Nigeria already have poverty, and they've started creating several poverty alleviation schemes or opportunities. So when you hear the policy of trader money, when you hear the policy of cash transfer, these are existing policies that are related to the SDGs, that are existing programs that have been aligned to the SDGs. So most times when we hear some of these programs, we feel like, oh, Nigeria are not doing anything towards achieving the SDGs, but these are existing programs. What we need to do as young people and what we need to do as religious-based organization or as a third sector organization, because the religious-based organization are part of the civil society organization, is to hold government accountable on some of these existing policy and issues to ensure that this existing policy gets to the people who need it, the people who are on the side. The civil society organization are the ones that are connected to the grassroots, and they are connected to the people who are going through problems and injustice. I mean, nobody would ask, Nasfat knows people who are actually poor, right? So there's a need to put pressure on the government to ensure people who really need intervention get intervention. Same thing with education, same with inclusive growth and economy, right? So for instance, you see the sort of Empower, ask government question around Empower, how many young people, where are they, data and statistics. So one of the things I would say is that there's a sort of context around the goals Nigeria is working on to advance the SDGs. And I can mention several of those goals, peace, justice and strong institution, partnership for the goals, gender equality, quality education, inclusive economy, that is economic growth, good job and economic growth, and then poverty. So these are some of the goals Nigeria is working on, and they are connected. Good health and well-being is even connected to clean water and sanitation. So when you look at several, health intervention, you can see that sometimes it can be connected to clean water and sanitation. When you look at good job and economic growth, it is connected to economic opportunities, reducing inequalities, right? When you look at education, it's related to environmental education, teaching children in schools how to plant trees and protect the climate, or protect the planet, right? When you look at partnership for the goals, you see Nigeria collaborating with different international organizations or international institutions towards driving the SDGs. So most times, as religious-based organization, I just want to quickly mention this point. We shouldn't shy away from also getting into spaces of global organization, right? Sometimes you see it's not our business. No, I'm not interested in UNESCO. I'm not interested in UNICEF. But some of these policies affect local policies. There's no way, So there's a role that global policy plays in driving local change, and that's why the SDGs as a singular policy is affecting national policy. And that's why I'm interested in the SDGs, right? And that's why I'm even studying Africa and international development.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ahmed Kayode. That was very, very direct and straightforward in terms of policy, in terms of interlinkages of SDG, in terms of holding leaders accountable. May I use this opportunity to tell you that Nasfat Youth Wing National Headquarters, aside having programs around SDG, I've hosted series of international youth events, I've hosted hackathons, I've hosted pitch competition for youth. They see themselves as a collaborator activating the last goal of the SDG. And that's why if you see our panel session, it incorporated people from diverse religious beliefs. So up to you next, Mr. Rashid Adebi. Of course, you are aware of the recent National Bureau of Statistics data. What, in your own view, is responsible for the high rate of unemployment in Nigeria? Do you think the targets and indicator for goal 8, which has to do with business work and economic growth, is anything to go by? And how can Nigeria solve that? Thank you.
Thank you very much. For every stakeholder, that kind of statistics that came from the National Bureau of Statistics should be a very serious cause for concern, especially because we have a very huge youth population in the country. So I think goal 8 of the SDGs is one goal that we have to pay more serious attention to. First, we have to understand that many of our universities cannot produce industry-ready graduates. And this is basically because there is a gap between the classroom and the industry. And as a matter of fact, the goal 17 of the SDG is talking about partnership. So that leads us to the fact that the university system, the tertiary institutions, from university to polytechnic to colleges of education, needs to do more partnership with businesses and concerns outside of the system, so that we can open widely the door of the classroom to the industry. So it's very, very important. Then secondly, I think at this point, it is imperative for Nigeria, communities, religious organizations, NGOs, student bodies, everybody concerned with the matter of youth to begin to own the issue of unemployability. Because if we are producing that huge number of graduates every year and we are unable to get them engaged productively, it is coming back to haunt us as a society. So that's why a society such as Nasfat worldwide is appreciated for the kind of intervention that it has been doing in terms of youth employability and all of that. We've had a series of seminars, but we can still do more. So basically, we need to create a system that empowers the youth more. And we need to create a system where the problems of the youth could be solved at every point in time. I mean, at every point that we can reach them, at NGO level, at community level, at whatever level. Then, as I've said, we need to bridge that gap between the industry and the classroom. It's very, very important. Because majorly, when you talk to people, when you talk to human resources experts, they say a lot of Nigerians are graduating without skills that could actually make them wanted in the labor market. So it's very, very important for us to begin to retool the education system in Nigeria to begin to produce employable graduates. And not only employable alone, we need to begin to give an entrepreneurial mindset to our youth. As we have it right now, many of the entrepreneurial programs in a lot of universities in Nigeria are not teaching entrepreneurship. I described they teach selling, because when you tell graduates to be doing liquid soap, to be involved in car washing and all of that, and when exactly are we going to be producing the innovators? When exactly are we going to be producing guys that are going to be giving us solutions to the problems that we have as a nation? And we have a lot of frictions that if the youth are properly educated, then they can go out and begin to come up with innovations that are going to solve a lot of problems that we have right now. So the entrepreneurship programs in our university systems need to be reoriented to produce graduates, and in order to fulfill the goal 8, which is decent economic growth and decent living. Again, we need to create a lot of awareness on what our youth need. We need university systems that are going to be collaborating or creating hubs, tech hubs that are going to be creating business and entrepreneurship hubs, where they're going to learn about ideation, where they're going to learn about accelerating and seeking funding and writing proposals to ensure that they come out not only looking for jobs, but are able to stand on their own. So as we have it right now, Nigeria needs to do a lot. And this speaks to the policy we have on ground. I've always told people, the NUC minimum benchmark gives universities the opportunity to be creative with the courses they offer. And so it now depends on the university system to leverage on that, to bring in courses, especially on the entrepreneurship aspect of it, that will ensure that youth are trained in such a way that they can not only be employees, they can also stand on their own.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. Just quick takeaway, unemployability should be addressed. Nigerian tertiary institutions should change our curriculum to conform with 21st century dynamics, and we should leverage on digital technology. Don't let me talk about digital technology. The expert on digital technology is coming after this session. So quick one, Mr. Abed Kayode, from your own experience, when Nasfat headquarters decided to have this kind of event, we don't want this kind of event to be like the other event that has been happening. Enough of the talk shows, enough of symposium, enough of just charging people up without telling them practical ways to get involved. So I'm putting it to you, from your own experience, what would you tell an individual just learning about SDGs to do? What are the practical ways to get involved? For example, we have more than 200 participants who joined this talk. If I'm just learning about SDGs today, what are the practical steps for me to get involved around SDGs? Thank you. Please, in 1 minute, 30 seconds, please.
Oh God, I was about to tell a story and it's just 1 minute, 30 seconds, but it's okay. I think the first thing is to memorize the SDGs into memory. So you can't just like talk about the SDGs without knowing what the goal stands for. So the first thing is to read about the goals and understand what the goals is all about. So that was the first thing I did, right? I could recall I took a course from the SDGs Academy when I was trying to learn about the SDGs. And the first thing they asked me was like, have I committed the SDGs into memory? I had to start committing the SDGs to memory from the goal 1 to 17. Another thing is seek for knowledge. Like even if it takes you to spend your own money to travel to learn about the things you want to know. So in 2017, I wanted to deepen my knowledge about the SDGs. And I mean, I didn't have the money to do that. So I could recall applying to the African Youth SDG Summit in Accra, Ghana. And when I applied, I had just, I was working in the factory at that point. So then I had to pay the fee. So I had to look for like $100 to pay the fee. I was collecting about 20,000 naira in the factory. So I managed to pay, for 2 months. I saved my money for 2 months and I paid the registration fee. I got the partial scholarship. Now I need to travel to Ghana. I don't have the money to travel to Ghana, but I knew I had like about 20,000 naira with me as well. So what I did was I traveled to Ghana by road without having money to return to learn about the SDGs. So I got to Ghana in the night, like for 3 nights at that summit, I didn't have a dinner, right? You must be thinking, how did this guy return? But I went to the summit learning, meeting people, learning about the SDGs, having conversation with young leaders across other continents, right? Across other continents and countries. And, I was showing up, talking about, what I already know, right? And in a way, I'm able to build regional knowledge around the SDGs and regional context around the SDGs. I won't want to talk about, coming back, but this is, if you really want to know something, you need to go all out to learn about it, right? So at that particular program, I met someone who works with the Nigerian network of NGOs and also African Monitor. And in a way, she asked me, Ahmed, what do you do? And it's very important that when we go to programs, we should have what we do already, like at least, something that you do, even if you're aspiring to do that thing. So when I got there, he said, Ahmed, what do you do? I know most of us who are young people here might say, I'm a student, I'm this. No, whenever people ask, what do you do? Don't call yourself your student. Student doesn't help anybody. If you're an imagine entrepreneur, let them know I'm an imagine entrepreneur. So immediately he said, Ahmed, what do you do? I said, I'm a social entrepreneur. I run a non-profit that does this in rural community. I started talking about my work and selling myself and picking myself. And, in a way, she looked at me and said, it seems this person would be very useful to driving something. So I came back to Nigeria. I won't talk about the story. So I came back to Nigeria and she asked me to like, I may send your CV. And I sent my CV to her, right? So after a while, she also asked me to like fill out an application to become an SDGU champion. And I filled the application to become an SDGU champion. And that's how I was selected as an SDGU champion and engaged the SDG at national level and engaged the office of the Senate president. I also traveled to South Africa at that moment to learn more about the SDGs, learn about social research, advocacy, and how we can collect data to monitor the sustainable development goals. In a way, I started building some sort of like context knowledge around the SDGs. So, I mean, sometimes it's about seeking knowledge, it's about looking for the unknown, and it's about going all out, to learn.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Build knowledge, research through data, invest in yourself, attend program, do leverage on connection when you attend events. Those were the words of Mr. Ahmed Kayode, Executive Director, K-On Leadership and Career Initiative. Over to you again, Mr. Rashid Adedi. Briefly, please. One of the goals of the SDG, goal 16 in particular, has to do with governance. One of the goals has to do with climate change. What's your brief opinion on governance, youth engagement, peace and climate change in Nigeria? What are we doing right and wrong, especially as we have 10 years to go to realize the SDGs? In 1 minute, please.
Thank you very much. Well, there is a lot that is ongoing as far as that goal 16 is concerned in Nigeria, but we that we cannot actually put together. So I would suggest that we need data. There is always a room for research in SDG so that we can know how far we are progressing as far as these issues are concerned. For me, Nigeria needs to encourage more NGOs to focus on climate change and environmental issues. We also need to introduce more social impact programs into our curriculum. Let me tell you, there is no single university, you can check it. Yeah, I might be wrong, but I've seen enough to understand that in our university systems, we don't have social impact programs. Every program that we run within the university system has its own impact in the society as a way. So it's important for us as a country to again look at our curriculum. If we are going to achieve the SDGs, whatever progress we are going to do.
Sincere apologies. As much as I would have loved to have you guys, I've been informed that we are way behind time. I will just ask you the last question, both of you briefly, please, in 60 seconds each. We have the African Pre-Continental Trade Agreement. We have the Agenda 2063. I will just need to take your take. I need your take and your message to world leader. The United Nations General Assembly comes to an end today, Saturday. So what will be your message for African leaders and global leaders on African Pre-Continental Trade Agreement and Agenda 2063 and SDG? 60 seconds, please.
Yeah, so as much as we want to appreciate the SDGs, right, I think it's very important to decolonize the SDGs in a way that, decolonize and deconstruct the SDGs to shape the African narrative. So it's very important that as we continue to think about the SDGs, we continue to think about or appreciate indigenous knowledge system, appreciate what we have, what we own as Africa, and bringing all of those things into perspective to drive the goals. Appreciating the work we're already doing, rather than looking for experts elsewhere, appreciating our own production, right? So I think that's one thing I would share. And in general, to like everyone here, I would end with just a very short story. It's not very long. It's like maybe 30 seconds. I'm going to end the story.
Thank you.
A young boy went to his father and he said, "Father, I want to test you." He said, "Father, in my hand is a bird, and I want you to tell me if the bird is dead or alive." And the father said, "If I should tell you it is dead, you will release the bird and say it is alive. And if I should tell you it is alive, you strangle the bird, it dies. So the solution is in your hand." Thank you.
So Mr. Rashid, please.
Thank you very much. I have just an appeal to African leaders. It is important for us. Some of this agenda 2063, agenda whatever, we've been setting it in Nigeria before now, and we have not really been able to see it to the end. So my appeal is that in all of the agenda we are setting, we must do strategic planning, which we have already done. We must also as well do strategic implementation and of course strategic evaluation so that we know where we have left and where we are going. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. I sincerely apologize for keeping August invited guests waiting, please. Briefly, please, I would like to invite Alhaja Nafisat Aregundade for our goodwill message. Alhaja Nafisat Aregundade, goodwill message.
Thank you. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. I bring goodwill message from the Council of Elders of Nasrullah in Fati Society. Permit me to stand on the existing protocol. We glorify Allah for making this planned online meeting, summit a reality. Today marks the first online virtual youth SDG meeting summit, and it's a big honor for me to represent and present on behalf of the Council of Elders. I would like to express my gratitude to all our youth for making this possible. On behalf of the Chairman and Council of Elders, on behalf of the Council of Elders, on behalf of the Chairman of the Council of Elders, I wish to congratulate you, our vibrant youth, for taking the bold step. Am I sharing? Yeah. For taking the bold step to organize the first online meeting. We appreciate, and this is tagged activism, which is intended to inspire, engage, and mobilize people from all walks of life, for which is for acceleration of efforts to achieve the sustainable development goals and craft an inclusive development agenda. We all know that with the emergence of the COVID-19, that's punishing shift in everything in life, and with the life worsening gap, that we have the challenge of the worsening gap in developmental goals. However, these challenging moments in history also offer an opportunity to come together in order to transform ourselves and our communities. We all know, just as have been mentioned, I will not go over this, 17 SDGs has set for a better life, a better future by 2030. We are thinking of how it should be, that life should be better, and it has been agreed by near all the countries of the world. The visions of NDG, we all know, and has been taken by my group people that have spoken, our reliable youth. The universality of the goal is well enshrined. The members of the Nasfat Council of Elders are therefore particularly joyful to be part of the gathering of dynamic Muslim youths, focusing on fundamental and progressive of life change, mobilizing for the achievement of the SDG. The religion of Islam itself was brought about by a profitable and befitting departure from the older order. Prophet Ibrahim والسلام, was called out to make a difference in the prevalent religion and social order during his time. While Prophet Muhammad wasallam also led the divine mission of transforming the entire humanity in their belief, political administration, social and economic lifestyle, from what obtained prior to his call to prophethood. Nasfat, as a pace-setting Islamic organization, is committed to growing a new generation of Muslims that are highly knowledgeable.
So sorry for me, please, for the sake of Allah, please. Because we are far behind time, I want you to please conclude, please, ma. Please, ma.
We encourage you to take
sincere apologies,
to make use of the state-of-the-art technology, including internet and all social media, facts and data for accelerating developmental goals. Yes. That's what the Council of Elders is indeed proud of you, and we guarantee you that we give you all the necessary support and make sure that more than ever before, we are committed to giving you the necessary support. We hope that the activities of this summit will prove to be memorable and fulfilling for you as you take life-changing decisions, just as mentioned by many that have spoken, to play your role as emerging global leaders and activists.
Thank you very much.
Your facts, your data to promote the world. Once again, we implore you to learn, unlearn, and relearn during the program. Can Nasfat set up an SDG office? Thank you. Happy deliberation. Masala.
Thank you very much. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you. That was the voice of the Secretary SCOE, Elijah Mabisa Tarobunade. The Council of Elders has given us their own support. Next is the remark from Alaji, the Nasfat president, who is speaking on what Nasfat has done so far in achieving the SDGs. Over to Alaji. Hello? Hello, Abidin.
Yeah, President, you can go on, sir. I can hear you, sir.
Okay, all right. Salam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh.
Let me start by thanking everyone for being part of this session. And I also would like to say a welcome and salam to the Honorable Minister for Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Ibrahim Antami. I see you've joined the Zoom session since, and it will be inappropriate to continue to keep you waiting. Your session was 11:30, we are 8 minutes late. So I will yield grant and ask that we should please go on straight to the Honorable Minister. Thank you. Thank you very much. Once again, I sincerely apologize for keeping the Honorable Minister waiting. I would like to hand over to my colleague to continue. Thank you.
Okay, brother Keji, move on.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All praise and thanks are due to Almighty Allah, and peace and blessings of Allah be upon His messengers. I would like to thank you all for joining the maiden edition of Nasfat Youth SDG Summit. My name is Abdurrahim KJ. I am a trained ICT personnel with academics and industrial experience across Nigeria and the UK. I'll be moderating this section of the webinar for the next 30 minutes on young people's role in driving digital trends to achieving SDGs with Dr. Isa Ali Kwantami. I have just been informed that the Honorable Minister is now with us. Just a quick housekeeping. If you have any questions, can we please make use of the Q&A tab for any questions for the Minister? This webinar is live on Facebook and YouTube. There are links of it on the chat group as we speak. If you would like to know this, webinar is also covered by NTA TVC, Bond FM, Daily Trust newspaper, Guardian newspaper, Daily Post, and noislam.org. Dr. Isa Ali Kwantami is currently the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy in Nigeria. and the immediate past Director General of National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA of Nigeria. Dr. Isa Ali Kwantami received an award as the ICT Promoter of the Year in 2017 in London in recognition of positive contribution to ICT revolution in Nigeria, youth empowerment, and good governance. He is a fellow of both British and Nigeria computer societies. Dr. Kwantami is also a Jumu'ah Chief Imam who has been leading the Jumu'ah prayer for over 20 years in Nigeria and United Kingdom. He serves as a member of Sharia Board of Jais Bank and also is the Deputy Secretary General of Supreme Council for Sharia in Nigeria. Dr. Kwantami is well read with various degrees and academic certificates, which include a PhD from Robert Gordon University in Aberdeen, Scotland. First, I'd like to present Dr. Isa Ali Kwantami. Sir, Nasfat Youth would like to congratulate you on your most recent award of Digital Icon of the Year from Ahmadu Bello University. Sir, are you with me, sir? Honorable sir, would you like to unmute yourself, sir? Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sir, let's begin by taking... Hello?
Right.
Sir, let's begin by taking your opening address briefly on the topic and program of the day.
Right. Assalamu alaikum. Let me begin by first apologizing on behalf of the Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Ali Kwantami. He had to leave for a very important national assignment. So he has asked me to, he just drafted me now to stand in for him and deliver what he's expected to present to the Nasfat Youth SDGs Summit. So allow me to again sincerely apologize on his behalf for not being able to stay and present this message himself. And if it is okay, I can go ahead.
Of course, it's absolutely fine, sir. It's an honor to have you with us, sir. It's quite unfortunate that we couldn't have the minister with us, but it is also a privilege to have you with us, sir. If at your own time, we would like to hear from you, sir.
Right. So my name is Dr. Dahiru Abubakar. I'm the head of Special Duties Unit at the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA. I also support the Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy in various, aspects of his official duties at the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy. Today being the 26th September 2020, I'll be presenting. He has given me the keynote address to deliver on his behalf. So what I am saying is going to be what he had originally planned to discuss with you. I apologize if, again, the eloquency, as everybody knows, of His Excellency, the Honorable Minister of Communication, as an Islamic scholar, speaking at Nasfat, which is Islamic organization, and also speaking about development and so on, would not be, more like my humble self. But regardless, I start in the name of Allah. It's most gracious, most merciful. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله تعالى فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أدى الأمانة وبلغ الرسالة ونصح الأمة وجاهد بالله حق جهاده. I also start by saying Rabbi Shrah li Sadri wa Yassir li Amri وهذا عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي وما توفيقي إلا بالله عليه توكلت وإليه ينيب. One of the important message to start with, because we are talking about youth, we are talking about entrepreneurship, we are talking about innovation, and I had followed some of the speakers during the panel sessions that they were talking about entrepreneurship and innovation. And I remember the hadith about what the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam said about Prophet Dawud alayhi salam. Kana ya'kulu min amali yadihi. The best sustenance that a man can provide for himself is to be able to sustain himself with that which he creates or develop with his own hands. And Prophet Dawud alayhi salatu wasalam used to, ya'kulu min amali yadihi. So, what is the role of young people in driving digital trends to achieving the sustainable development goals? Today, there are about 1.2 billion young people aged 15 to 24, accounting for 16% of the global population. And we are all aware that youth are the enablers of any digital revolution, technology, and so on. Therefore, with a population having an average of just over 18 years, with 60% of the country represented by youth, indicates to us that Nigeria is ready to be the foundation of an African digital economy. While some things had been said around, lack of entrepreneurship and so on, I must say that there is a lot going on in the Nigerian digital space. We must also be aware that the youth now comprises of what we call the digital natives, those that were born, during the digital era or digital technology era, and they have the potential to transform a country into a regional and global powerhouse. And when given the opportunity to do so, innovation is part of our DNA as Nigerians, and there are several stories of innovation across the globe that have the imprint of Nigerians. You might not know, but you might also be aware of HopStop, an online city transit application acquired by Apple for a whopping $1 billion. It was owned by a Nigerian-born entrepreneur. Another example is a Nigerian tech solution, Chiniki God. Chiniki in Hausa is, buying and selling. Beat about 750 other startups from 73 countries during the last GITEX that took place in Dubai, and won about $10,000 as the best startup for artificial intelligence category. The event took place in 2019 during the Gulf Information Technology exhibition in Dubai. Chinikigat is a Nigerian artificial intelligence-based security solution for retail stores and supermarkets to monitor, detect, and alert shop owners or shoplifting and suspicious behavior happening, in real time. So what are the SDGs? Of course, a lot of things have been said about the Sustainable Development Goals around no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, and so on and so forth. You would be not be surprised to know that about 169 targets of these Sustainable Development Goals highlights the roles of young people and the importance, of their empowerment, participation, and well-being. 20 targets across 6 SDGs are strongly focused on youth, especially when we talk about zero hunger, quality education, bridging the gender digital divide in terms of technology, that is, decent work, economic growth, reduce inequality, and climate change. As the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy had looked at these Sustainable Development Goals and the situation in Nigeria, and had come up with the National Digital Economy policy and strategy. The National Digital Economy policy and strategy take cognizance of these Sustainable Development Goals and our peculiarities in Nigeria, and have come up with 8 pillars to accelerate the development of Nigeria into a digital economy. These pillars are, developmental regulation, digital literacy and skills, solid infrastructure, service infrastructure, digital services development and promotion, soft infrastructure, digital society and emerging technologies, indigenous content development and adoption. Now, developmental regulation is looking at how regulation could be developed in the ecosystem in such a way that it enables rather than strangulates innovation to happen. Effective regulation of the ICT and digital sector in a way that it enables, development. The digital literacy and skills pillar of the Nigeria Digital Economy Policy and Strategy, is about providing policy backing for massive training of Nigerians from all walks of life in order to sort of enable them to obtain digital literacy and other digital skills. This pillar will also help in facilitating training of Nigerians. The solid infrastructure involves the deployment of fixed and mobile infrastructure to deepen the broadband penetration in the country. You may also be aware that there was a recent review of the Nigerian broadband policy. The policy ended in 2019, which had a target of achieving broadband penetration of 30%, and that was exceeded in 2019. Now we have a target of about 90% in the next 5 years to achieve the broadband penetration, which will be able to enable sort of other ecosystems to latch on and develop on the backbone of the broadband penetration. The service infrastructure supports government digital services to happen so that there is provision of robust digital platforms to drive the digital economy. The digital services development and promotion pillar, which is pillar 5 of the Nigeria Digital Economy Policy and Strategy, is concerned with the development of a vibrant digital ecosystem that supports innovation, driven enterprise, that is IDE, and micro, small, and medium enterprises in a way that it engenders innovation to happen. The soft infrastructure helps in strengthening, which is pillar 6, that is public confidence in the use of digital technologies and participation in the digital economy. That would be, while we are heading this, of course, for example, this is the first virtual conference of the Nasfat, and a lot of online conferences and academic institutions have also, gone virtual to deliver content and so on. Also increases the vulnerability and security of these online platforms. So the soft infrastructure is concerned with cybersecurity and other, technologies that will help in mitigating the risks and provide, more confidence for users of online or virtual platforms to, have confidence in using the system. Then the digital society and emerging technologies pillar, which is pillar 7. This focuses on trying the development of the digital economy to tying the development of the digital economy to indices of well-being in the lives of ordinary citizens, which also matches with some of the requirements or givings of the Nigeria digital economy, of the Sustainable Development Goals. And then finally is goal 8, which is indigenous content development and adoption, where we think globally and act locally, like the Honorable Minister used to say, local way of thinking. Provision of a policy framework that gives preference to digitally skilled Nigerians for government-funded projects in line with the Executive Order 003 and 005 of the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, where we give preference to our locally manufactured devices, where we give preference to our locally developed software. It might interest you to know that around the early 90s, it's the Nigerian built software that took over the European and America's banking system operation. So these softwares were first developed, and built in Nigeria. So these 8 pillars, also align with the Sustainable Development Goals, have been developed as the Digital Economy Policy and Strategy. And also, I think there was a professor that was talking about developing a strategy for implementation of, policies and so on. I like to assure you that for all the policies and that are being drafted and developed by the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy, either by them or by their parastatals like the Nigeria Communications Commission, the National Information Technology Development Agency, and so on, would have these policies in place and will have a strategic roadmap and a strategic implementation or action plan for the implementation of these roadmaps. That is why we were able to tell you that the broadband policy for the country, which ended in 2019, had a target of achieving 30% broadband penetration, which translated in more than that, and the plans for the 2020 to 2025 national broadband policy, is targeting 90% broadband penetration. So these policies, I would like to assure you further, have their strategic implementation and implementation plans, as well as key success factors and indicators that will show us, where we are, where we plan to be, and what we would have achieved at the end of this administration by the grace of Allah, inshallah. So what are the digital trends for achieving the sustainable development goals? Coming away from discussing the local digital economy policy as it aligns with the sustainable development goals. There are many technologies that would support the achievement of sustainable development goals, as they vary across, the sectors that the SDGs are targeting. According to the WEF, World Economic Forum, and PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, 2/3 of the 169 targets supporting the global sustainable development goals can be enhanced by technology and innovation. For example, SDGs on health, that is number 3, clean energy, number 7, that goal 7, that is, and industry, innovation, and infrastructure are the SDGs that have a good mapping, to technology. Others like no hunger, quality, education, goals 2 and 4, sustainable cities and communities, goal 11, and distant work and economic growth can be greatly enhanced through technologies like smart agriculture. For example, NITDA has the National Adopted Village for Smart Agriculture. This is a national program that targets farmers in rural areas. A village is adopted, and they see how Internet of Things, artificial intelligence can be used to, determine what sort of crop you should grow, what sort of soil is, accommodated in that geographical area, and how to improve yield and productivity of agricultural products. The program has been run in Jigawa State and currently going to be done in Ekiti State as well. So this is an example of how, smart and precision farming can help in the achievement of no hunger goal of the sustainable development goals. E-learning can also be used to support digital educational platforms in delivering content. I know as we are doing now, holding an otherwise social and physical meeting in a virtual environment. The COVID-19 pandemic had fast-tracked Nigeria's acceleration on the use of digital technologies, as highlighted by the Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy. We're in the process of setting up emerging technology centers as well, in such a way that as new technologies come in, there are hubs that can provide startups, with mentorship and help them in changing their ideas into products, or if they are past the ideation stage and already have a product, linking them up with investors, markets, and so on and so forth. Chiniki Guard was also a startup, that we attached to an innovation hub, which we later tried to, link them up in a more in a space like the Gulf Information Technology Exhibition that took place in Dubai, where other people from around the world internationally can come and see what Nigerians are able to offer. The Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, has also been emphasizing on the need for skills. And I think it has also been mentioned as part of the panel discussion that there should be a paradigm shift in the way, certificates are acquired without, having the requisite skills to back up this certificate. They should go hand in hand in such a way that skills are given a priority, in terms of, employment and so on and so forth. China recently turned 600 of the country's general universities into skill centers to, emphasize on the need for skills to be, taken into consideration in all the things that we do. Also, the President of the United States of America signed an executive order in June 2020 directing federal government to lay emphasis on skills rather than degrees when hiring staff. The curriculum vitae of today should have two main parts, that would have soft skills on one side and then hard skills, on the other side. It's unfortunate, like the earlier speaker mentioned, that some of the curriculum on entrepreneurship in our universities do not cover much about innovation and real entrepreneurship beyond, buying and selling of soaps and so on. Not to undermine that those activities as not equally important, but we need to have a greater or larger or bigger perspective as to the ways we approach innovation and entrepreneurship. And talking about innovation and entrepreneurship, we want to say that it's arguably the most important driver of the digital economy and will play a significant role in us achieving the sustainable development goals. Digital innovation and entrepreneurship can serve as a platform for creating employment for a larger number of Nigerians and will support the development of the economy. The purpose of innovation is to give rise to new ideas and technologies, which will eventually increase productivity, enabling organizations to sort of generate output with the same input. Again, according to the World Economic Forum 2018, Future of Jobs report that they released, nearly 133 million new jobs may be created by 2022 by innovative technologies, such as artificial intelligence, automation, and robotics. But we need to be also careful in, ethically considering the use of technology in such a way that it does not widen the current, digital divide that exists, in such a way that it does not reinforces what is also going on, in the physical or the traditional way we do things, so in such a way that technology does not come and then those that do not have access to the technology, are left behind, and it further widens the margin in terms of people that are living, below the poverty line, being further excluded by the use of technologies that they do not have. So all implementation of technologies, we're trying to be sure, considers, all these ethical considerations, and also not leaving, anybody behind. And that is why the broadband penetration policy, is targeting a higher number, as opposed to the 30% that we exceeded in 2019. So institutions across the globe would be paying more attention to digital innovation. It may also interest you to know that the renowned institution, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, has introduced a concept it calls innovation-driven enterprises, IDEs. These IDEs have been known to have a significant impact on the economies of their host countries. To further illustrate this, imagine Massachusetts Institute of Technology as a nation of IDEs. Based on a 2050 report that we had, such an MIT nation would have been the world's 10th largest economy, with gross revenue falling between the GDP of Russia, which is 2.097 trillion, and India, which is 1.877 trillion. So we have engaged MIT, and there's the Abuja IDE, that's innovation-driven enterprise, sort of local committee has been set up, and we are planning to, also see how the impact of these innovation-driven enterprises, when we bring all the stakeholders together would impact on our own digital economy as well. So we encourage youth, who are the most important audience of this important virtual conference, to focus, on digital innovation and entrepreneurship. Another important thing that would also help in the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals is accepting mentorship. A mentor is someone who allows you to see the hope inside yourself. A mentor is someone who allows you to see the higher part of yourself when sometimes it becomes hidden to your own view. This is like Oprah Winfrey said. One of the greatest value of mentors is the ability to see ahead of what others can also see, to help them navigate across, to their destination. So very many great people that you know of, had role models and mentors that they had taken in confidence, that help them grow to become whom they are now. So there is also it is also important for the youth to be engaged in extensive reading, because the more you read, the more your ability to be able to comprehend whatever ecosystem or sector that you find yourself in. So, and I want to also finally conclude that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Holy Quran, "Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat lin-nas ta'muruna bil ma'ruf wa tanhauna 'anil munkar wa tu'minuna billah." That you are the best nation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has brought about. Why? Because ta'muruna bil ma'ruf, you command people to do good, wa tanhauna 'anil munkar, and you try to prevent them from doing that which is wrong. وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ, most importantly, you believe in Allah Azza wa Jal. So at the foundation of all the things that we do is our sincerity and hope, that we abide by the injunctions sent to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in such a way that we achieve all that we plan to achieve and becomes beneficial to the development not only of Nigeria as a country, but as targeted by the Sustainable Development Goals. This is all what I have got to say as the message of the Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Ali Ibrahim Fantami. I also want to again apologize on his behalf that he had to leave for this other important national activity or assignment that was beyond his control. وما توفيقي إلا بالله عليه توكلت وإليه أنيب والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Dr. Abubakar, that is fantastic delivery right there. We thank you so much. I was just writing and writing and writing. It's amazing. Thank you for sharing the NDEPs with us and the plan which the Ministry of Communication is working on. That is amazing. If you wouldn't mind, we have a couple of questions. Are you happy to take some questions, sir? Before we
well, I can answer what I can answer on my behalf. Maybe other questions that are for the Honorable Minister, I would forward it to him and then get back to you appropriately, accordingly.
Inshallah, we ask Allah to make it easy for you. We just want to have a fill-in understanding of the ministry itself and also of the agency which you also work for at. Dr. Abubakar, just a quick one. You made mention of mentorship from the delivery, and you said something which is quite key about ability to see ahead what others cannot see. That will bring me to volunteerism as well. Perhaps I want to look at the context of volunteering. How can we ensure that our Muslim youth in general benefit more into volunteering? Because when you look around, people don't seem to understand the major importance or the advantage that they can pick from volunteering. What can you say about that? And in terms of in the ministry as well, how do you think, is there any opportunity for members to volunteer at the ministry, maybe at the agency that you work for or any other agencies within the ministry as well, sir?
Yes, so there's a lot of activities going on, and there is hardly any policy or framework or guideline that we release from the ministry or from the parastatals under the ministry that does not have sort of a stakeholder engagement. We engage people so that we hear their views, because this policy is supposed to, is going to affect the Nigerian citizens. So we don't want to do these policies in isolation. We prefer policies that are user, centric, because we are with our customers. Nigerian citizens are our customers, with our customers in mind. So at volunteering or engagement with us can happen at different levels. It can happen, at the development of our policies, guidelines, regulations, and so on. When we call you to talk to us, we always, based on our rule-making process, whenever we're going to make these rules, we always put it out there to people. If they cannot come in, person to our stakeholder engagement sessions, they can send it online. And I mean, I've been to one of a previous Nasfat event, where NISJA sort of center was provided to the Nasfat center here in Abuja. Now, we have got these centers by the Ministry of Communications, Digital Communication, spread across the country. Now, there's many ways that you can volunteer and partner with us. There are many graduates of computer science studies that are part of the Nasfat and other organizations, religious or otherwise. You can make use of these centers are made for the community. You can, based on what you have learned, and digital literacy and skills is our second pillar on the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy. Now, we cannot achieve the massive training of all Nigerians on digital technologies by ourselves. We have to have people that will support us in doing so. Now, we cannot be everywhere, but our centers are everywhere. Digital technology centers, we call them digital capacity building centers or digital job creation centers, and there's a similar one in Nasfat. So we want volunteers, that can come to these centers, talk to us that they want to provide a 5-day training, a 1-week training. The more people that are aware of how on how to use digital technologies, the better informed the society is to adapt to the changes in the IT ecosystems and the opportunities, that ecosystem provides, and the opportunities that the regulations that we make, because they are development regulations, and the opportunities that those regulations also enables, after having developed them. So one of the best ways to actually be able to interface with us, our volunteer, is to make use of, these centers across the country, in Abuja, Lagos, Maiduguri, Port Harcourt, all over the country. We've got centers in different communities. Some are in rural areas, some are in urban areas, some are in secondary schools, some are in universities. We've got IT parks and so on. So this agenda for enhancing or developing the interest and knowledge of Nigerians in terms of their skills to be able to use information and communication technology for the betterment of their lives, because that is where we are heading to. The use of IT to take over almost everything. So the more people that are aware, the more people that can make use of the opportunities, and the more people we also are safe from the use of from the vulnerabilities. Because if you don't know, that is when you are susceptible to cyber security threats and so on. So even if it is cyber security awareness for people around using their bank cards and so on, you are creating more digital awareness, and you are building people's skills and upgrading their literacy, digital literacy skills, across the country. And the more people that are aware, the better for us.
That is really good. Thank you very much for that. The digital literacy.
I have attempted answering.
Yes, you have sufficiently, sir. Well done. Thank you very much. I want to take you up on the digital literacy that you talked about. So yes. I would like to take you up on the digital literacy.
Yes.
that you talked about. Nasfat youth have been a strong advocate of educating our members. Recently, we've just concluded a seminar on ICT, which talked about cybersecurity. And these are what we tend to do regularly to ensure that we safeguard ourselves. We safeguard ourselves. And I remember the Honorable Minister started the Public Key Infrastructure Program, the PKI, as a national framework for cybersecurity against financial fraud and other cyber crimes. And this is something that Nasfat's youth strongly advise against, and Shy strongly against as well. We just want to look at, how do you think, apart from the centers, how well can we key into the PKI programs so that we can also provide a robust awareness to members, or also maybe there might be some kind of cybersecurity training that people can also use or gain from the ministry and come back to the community to enlighten others? If there's any, we would like to know as well.
Yes, thank you very much for your question. There are several awareness programs that the ministry supervises in terms of cybersecurity as one of the components of the soft infrastructure pillar of the NDEPS. Now, there is this awareness that we create across the geopolitical zones, because we cannot be everywhere all the time. So whenever we take them sectorally, for instance, we'll say we'll be training small and medium-sized enterprise owners in the Southeast geopolitical zones, for instance, in January, and then we'll take a different sector or a similar sector in the Southwest or the Northeast, and so on. So there is this program that we run throughout the year, which you can be part of, attending, those programs as trained trainers. There is also the cyber security emergency response team, where you can create awareness to your members wherever there are issues. You can report to us. While security is the mandate of the Office of the National Security Advisor, ONSA, NIDA plays a supporting role under the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, as part of the cyber security sort of network alliance that supports ONSA and other security organizations in, scanning the cyberspace of Nigeria, identifying errors and so on. So the search for NIDA and the search that exists in other institutions are there for Nigerian citizens to report, attempted fraud, cybersecurity risks, and so on. The PKI as a project is still an ongoing project, which NIDA, under the supervision of the ministry, is undertaking, along with Galaxy Backbone, another parastatal under the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy. And at the right time, when stakeholders need to be engaged to be part of the framework for the PKI, you would be duly informed by the grace of God.
Thank you very much. We would like to thank the Honorable Minister for honoring our request and also preparing the document that you presented today. It is amazing. We are actually run out of time now. Just as a take-home general, your farewell speech or a goodbye note, if you have anything to tell the youth members who are staunch supporter of the Honorable Minister, if there's anything you would like to have as a take home. And also, is it possible for us to have the Nasfat Youth Secretariat to be on the mailing list when all these programs are coming up? The SMEs, the trainers and things like that, if they are coming up, so that we can actually be in the know of them when we have them, and we can send delegates as appropriately. So if you like to give us your closing remarks, so we can just wrap this up.
Yes, I as a closing remark, I encourage all the youth to up their skills in digital technologies and digital innovation, and to be aware of what is going on in the ecosystem. Now, they would not be able to do so if they don't follow the activities of the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy and its parastatals. So first and foremost, follow us. This is social media time now. Follow us on FMCD on Twitter and Facebook. Follow us at NITDA on Twitter and Facebook. Follow us on NCC, Galaxy Backbone, NIGECOMSAT, and currently the National Identity Management Commission is also a parastatal that has been moved from the presidency to the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, NIMC. So all these parastatals are under the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, and you need to follow these activities. There is no stakeholder engagement that is going to happen that would not engage the public, on those activities. Our startup events, we have an office in NITDA supervised by the ministry again. They call Office for ICT Innovation and Entrepreneurship, that deals with innovation and entrepreneurship. I forgot to mention that as part of the speech, but you can follow OIIE on social media and see all the things that they do in terms of innovation and entrepreneurship, which is the youth constituency. So I think in a nutshell, that is sort of the advice. You need to be aware of what is going on. You cannot go back and sit down. Wherever you are now, technology is with you. So you can't go back and sit down and then expect sometimes things to just magically happen. You have to be up and about, and that is my advice for the youth. You mentioned something which I have forgotten.
I said putting Nasfat youth on the
yes. We'll try and do that as well. Try and do that. Thank you very much.
We'll communicate with you the details in back office and get that sorted. Dr. Abubakar, before you go, I have the Nasfat president online with us. He's also listening in. I would just like to call him on just for a brief remark in appreciation to the minister honoring our request as well. Just like to bring the Nasfat president, Lajine Yusuf. Just give me a second. President, sir, would you like to unmute yourself, sir? Okay, while we wait for the president to come on, we have the spiritual leader of Nasfat, the chief missioner of Nasfat, the person of Alhaji Sheikh Imam Abdulaziz Onike. I can take a brief remark from him as well while we get the president ready. So, Imam, sir, can you?
Sallu ala nabiyyi karimi.
Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, sir.
Sallu ala nabiyyi Mustafa.
Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa sallim. Alhamdulillah. Nahmadu wa nasta'inu bihi wa nastaghfiruhu wa natawakkalu alayhi wa na'udhu bihi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. Man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlil fala tajida lahu waliyyan murshida. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man tabi'ahu bi ihsan ila yawmiddin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.
We thank Allah, we praise Allah, we seek His forgiveness, we rely on Him. We thank Allah, the first without any beginning, the last without any point of termination, the Lord of all lords, the King of all kings, the Judge of all judges.